story is The Weeping Engine. On the world of Ethel, the greatest art was also the greatest crime. Resonant sculpture was the official term. Soul carving was the whispered one. Using harmonic fields and focused emotion to imprint psychic echoes into matter. 50 years prior, a weaponized dread spire induced catatonic despair in a city. The practice was banned. All tools were destroyed. All practitioners were silenced. But the art didn't die. It went underground, into myth, and into Lev. Lev was a sanitizer. His job was to find and dismantle the last illegal resonant engines. He was the best. He was driven by a cold certainty. The art was a poison. Emotion given physical form was a lie, a trap, a weapon. His latest target was in the underbelly of Ithaca, where waste heat created perpetual dripping fog. The signal was faint, a ghost of a harmonic signature. He found the engine in a derelict public greenhouse. The machine was old, cobbled together from spare parts. Its forbidden crystalline core glowed with a weak, guilty light. And before it stood not a hardened criminal, but a young woman, her hands hovering over the controls, eyes closed. Before he could announce himself, the engine hummed to life. A low, pure tone filled the damp air. She was working. She wasn't carving stone. She was working on a puddle of stagnant water, using harmonics to hold its shape. And into this water sculpture, she was pouring a feeling. Lev felt it hit him like a wave. It was grief. The planet's lament. It was the most devastatingly honest thing he had ever experienced. He didn't raise his disruptor. He stood, paralyzed. The water collapsed back into a mundane puddle. Sela opened her eyes and saw him. She didn't flee. She just looked exhausted, she explained quietly. The engines weren't weapons. They were translators. The original sin wasn't the art, but its control. The Dread Spire was created by a committee that strip-mined a resonator's grief, amplified it, and weaponized it. They took a prayer and turned it into a bomb. The art itself was neutral, a mirror, reflecting beauty or horror. Lev's certainty shattered. He had spent his career destroying mirrors because one had been used to bludgeon someone. He looked at the weeping engine. It was a tool of release, giving form to formless pain so it could be acknowledged, diminished. His grandfather hadn't been cruel. He had been forced to carve lies. The poison wasn't the emotion, it was the coercion. He made his choice. He didn't dismantle the engine. He used his sanitizer authority to erase its signature from the grid. He became its secret guardian. Slowly, he began to learn from Sela. Not to carve, but to listen, to feel the echoes in old, forgotten sculptures. Echoes of hope, love, joy that had survived the purge. He realized the city wasn't sterile because it was safe. It was sterile because it was in trauma, choking on outlawed feelings. The final test came. A minor seismic fault triggered a panic in a lower district. Official calm was ineffective. Lev and Sela took a terrible risk. They moved the engine to a central junction. Sela didn't carve fear. She carved its opposite. She carved solidarity. The shared breath before courage. The memory of community. The effect was not magic. No one was suddenly fearless. But the panic softened into something manageable. The emotional wave found a shape, a container. It became something they could collectively withstand. Authorities later called it remarkable public resilience. They never detected the faint, calming harmony beneath it. Lev never became a resonator. He remained a sanitizer, but his mission changed. He no longer hunted engines. He began to find other hidden artists. Using his skills, he built them a hidden network, a way to share their work safely. He became the guardian of the mirrors, ensuring they reflected truth, not dogma, ensuring the art could not be coerced again. The weeping engine in the greenhouse still hummed, translating the silent grief of a world into something that could be seen. And Lev, the man who dedicated his life to silence, finally understood some wounds need a voice before they can ever heal. Second story, The Last Lighthouse Keeper. The ocean on Eurus wasn't water, it was dust. Fine, metallic, perpetually churned by howling winds. On the edge of the Sea of Silence, the only landmark was the beacon, a tower of ancient, self-repairing alloy. It pulsed a soft green rhythm into the eternal twilight, a single point of order in the chaos. Kale was its keeper, the last one. His duty, passed down through lost generations, was simple: maintain the light. He didn't know why. The manuals had eroded to digital static. He only knew the rhythm was the purpose. It was the heartbeat of his isolation. His world was the tower's 4 levels. The hum of the gravity generator, the click of cooling vents, the endless pulse. His only company was the dust, which crept into every seal, and the ghosts of previous keepers in worn handprints. To question the purpose was to invite madness. The light was all. The outside was a toxic, shifting oblivion. The first anomaly was a sound, not the wind, but a harmony. A faint, crystalline hum from the sea on calm nights. It was beautiful, and its beauty was a profound ache. A reminder of a concept his life lacked: music. He began to chart the sound. He correlated it with subtle fluctuations in the beacon's own frequency. They were speaking. This discovery fractured his numb acceptance. The beacon wasn't just shouting into the void, it was having a conversation. He, the keeper, was the illiterate child in the room. The purpose was not mere persistence. It was connection. Driven by a need he could no longer suppress, he did the unthinkable. He prepared the single ancient environment suit. Its power cell was frail, 1 hour only. He sealed himself in and stepped into the dust. The world was a monochrome of red and gray. The beacon's light was a fierce, penetrating spear of green in the gloom. He followed the harmonic hum, his suit's sensors guiding him. The walk was a pilgrimage through desolation. He found the source at the crest of a dune. Not a ship, a formation. Giant geometric crystals of silvery blue metal. They were vibrating, singing the harmonic tone, and they were angled perfectly to catch the beacon's pulse. As he watched, the green light struck the crystal. It refracted it, transformed it, sent a new pattern back. This was the reply. The sea was not empty. It was intelligent. The beacon was not a warning. It was a bridge. His suit alarm blinked. Power critical. Return immediately. But Kale stood transfixed. History rewrote itself. His ancestors hadn't gone mad from solitude. They'd become so absorbed in listening they forgot to maintain. The light had to pulse so the conversation could continue. He raced back, the storm rising at his back. He sealed the airlock as his suit died. Inside, he didn't go to calibrate. He went to the sealed primary control nexus, using his keeper's codes, not to maintain, but to modify. He understood now. The pulse was simple, a handshake. The crystals were trying to say more, but the beacon was only listening for one thing: its own echo. He widened the spectrum. He turned the beacon from a shout into an ear. The tower filled with the song. It wasn't just a harmony now. It was a symphony. Layers of meaning, emotion, memory from a living ocean of dust. The ghosts in the handprints seemed to sigh in relief. Kale sat on the floor, his back against the humming core, and listened. For the first time, the solitude was not empty. It was full. He was in the nexus of a conversation spanning epochs. The light still pulsed its green rhythm into the twilight. That was his duty now, more than ever, to keep the handshake alive. But now, the return signal painted the walls with cascading patterns, a visual translation of the sea's song. Kale's purpose was transformed. He was no longer just a keeper of a lighthouse, he was a translator for a world. He tended the light so 2 ancient, lonely intelligences could remember they were not alone across the gulf of dust and time. And in that, neither was he. The keeper was no longer alone. He was the essential heart of a cosmic conversation.